Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and in this video I'm going to show you how can we display or show custom message or custom error page for 404 errors. Okay, so whenever there is any incorrect URL, invalid URL, that URL does not exist in our application, then we get HTTP 404 page not found error. Okay, so how can we show our custom page or custom message in these scenarios? This is what we are going to talk about in this video. So here I have simply created a new project in Visual Studio 2022. So I have created these two projects. First one is Blazor Custom 404. This is a Blazor web app with interactive server render mode. So this one is going to be applied for all Blazor web app templates. So Blazor web app without any interactivity. Then Blazor web app with the interactive server, WebAssembly or interactive auto, and per page or global all. So for all of these, this is going to be applied. Then we have standalone Blazor WebAssembly application as well. Right. So I have created a separate project for this Blazor custom 404.standalone was. So for this one, the process is a bit different. Okay, so let's first see with Blazor web app what it shows if we have some 404, if we have some URL we are trying to access which does not exist in our application. Alright, so we have this running and these pages are working. Now if we enter some random URL, we got this localhost page can't be found, HTTP error 404 and refresh button. So this UI, this is browser specific. Okay, let me show you. Let me copy this thing and I'll open Chrome. And if I go to Chrome and paste the same URL, we are going to get this thing. So the message is same, localhost page can't be found and HTTP error 404 and reload button. So these are browser specific error UI. Now we don't want this. We want this to be inside our application as well. So what we need when this error comes, we should see our actual layout and that error message should be somewhere here, right? Or for these errors, we might want to redirect it to some other page. That is also an option. Okay, so we'll see how to handle this in Blazor web app with any interactivity or no interactivity. So Blazor web app is actually an ASP.NET Core application. The way we handle 404 in ASP.NET Core apps, the same way we will handle these in Blazor web app. Okay, so how we handle these in program.cs when we are configuring our HTTP request pipeline. That means after this var app equals builder.build, after this is the HTTP request pipeline. From builder.build to app.run. In between these two lines, we are setting up our HTTP request pipeline. So here we will define that. So for this, ASP.NET Core gives us a couple of methods, that is use status code pages. So there are three versions of this: use status code pages, use status code pages with redirects, use status code pages with re-execute. Okay, so let's see one by one what these do. So use status code with redirects and use status code with re-execute. All right, so I'll talk about this use redirect first, then I'll talk about execute, and then I'll talk about use status code pages. So first one is app.use status page with redirects. So how it works in this, if we check the parameter, it requires string location format. So with this, what it can do whenever there is any error, so what it can do, it can simply redirect that. So instead of showing that error UI, error page, browser specific error, it can redirect it to some other page. So should we use it? It totally depends on your need, your requirement, how you are architecting your application, how you want it to behave for 404 pages. So you might want to maybe redirect it to some, let's say, home page only. If there is any 404 not found incorrect URL, you can simply redirect user to the home page, or maybe some other page, or maybe you have some specific error page where you have some specific message. You can redirect it to that page and it can display that error message from there. So here we can define where we want to redirect to it. If we do this, whenever there is any 404 error, it will directly redirect to home page. Or we can have any other way. Let's say I have a specific error page, so I'll say /error-page. Now it will redirect to error page. Now on that page we can actually check what was the status code from where it is redirecting. So this works from status code 400 to 599. So here we can have one placeholder, this curly braces 0. Now it is actually status code. So if it was 404, it will redirect to this with this path. So it will have error-page/404. Okay. All right. Now with this one, we will not see HTTP status code 404 in the browser, or maybe if we are using from CLI or from Postman or some other API client, it will not show 404, because whenever that 404 comes to our application is going to redirect it to some other page, and that on that other page it will have the content. So it will first have 302 redirect, then it will have 200 for that next page. So it will not have the actual status code. We can get it from this path, but that is not the it will just be for displaying purpose, we could say. Okay. All right, then comes status code pages with re-execute. Now what this does, it does not redirect to some other page, but it handles that error. What I mean by handle, here also when we say re-execute, in this we can provide the same path format and then query format, that is optional. So in here as well we could redirect, or it will not redirect, we can pass any path, any URL. So let's say error page. Now what it will do, it will simply re-execute this path. So if we have some component with this page URL, it will going to re-execute, or it will going to execute that component. It will get the execute that component, will get the HTML response and show it to the user without changing the URL in the address bar, or without changing the status code. So it will have the same URL in the address bar and same HTTP status code 404 in this case. So it will have same things. So now this is the best suited for search engines, or for third party, or some REST client, or some maybe Postman client, or any this type of applications. If we are accessing it, because it will show us the actual status code, it will show that this URL does not exist. But with this executing this component, it will actually show some different user friendly error message for UI, for display purpose. All right. Now because it can work with other status codes, so how would we know that which status code it is right now having? So for this also we can have the same placeholder. It will have status code, and optionally we can have one query string, and here also we can have, let's say, status code equals 0, and then we can simply remove from here. If we want to, we can have the status code as a part of query string. So this is query string. And if you don't want to use query string, we can simply have this as a part of the main page only. All right. Okay, now we have this third version where we have used status codes without these redirect or re-execute. So if we want to have full control over how the HTTP status codes are working, these error status codes, then we can use this one. So if we check, it has multiple overloads without anything. Then it has status code page options. We can define some options. Then we can configure this iApplication Builder. We can get the value from here. Then we have one func with status code context as in and task as out. So this is a handler. We can provide our own custom body to this. So if we want to have full customization, and if you don't want to redirect or execute some other action method, we can use this one. All right. So for this particular case, I am going to use the second one, where we can have a separate page where we can define our error UI, and it should show that error UI only. All right. So we should have one component with this page path URL. So we'll go to components, pages. Here I'm going to create a new Razor component. Let's say custom error page. Okay. Now the URL should be this only. So on this, the first line, I'm going to set @page, error page, then 0. So this 0, we know this is status code, which is of type int, and it will not be nullable. We are always going to have this one. Okay. So here inside our code, we can access this. So we'll say public int status code, and it will be a parameter. Now we have this status code. Okay. So now on the basis of this status code, we can have different implementations. So in our case, what we are going to do for 404, we are going to have a specific error message and all that. But for all others, we are going to have some generic message. Okay. So here, first thing what I can do, I can simply have a private bool is 404, simple check here, and in on initialize, so override on initialized, here I can simply say is 404 equals status code equals 404. If this is 404, then we can show something. Now let's have one more piece of state for heading. I want to display some heading, and this will be on the basis of this is 404. So here we could say heading equals if is 404. So I'm going to use ternary operator here. For this we'll say error 404 page not found. If that's not the case, we will simply have error and then display the status code. Now in this HTML, we can simply have h1 where we can display heading. We can also have page title. We can display the same heading there as well. Did I mess this? No. All right. Now let's have some longer message. So here I'll say div class container, and inside this, first I'll check if this is 404 case. Then I'm going to have a p with class text danger and with the h2 look and feel, and here we could say looks like you have followed a wrong or outdated link. Now in else part, we don't know what this is. So here we can have the same p tag, and then with this we could say we have encountered an error, some generic message. So save it, save everything, and now let's try it out. Okay. So what we have done in program.cs, we are using use status code page with re-execute with this URL path. We created a new component, page component in pages. with the same URL structure, and then we just provided some default body to this. Let's run it. Now app is here. Now if we try to add some URL, you see it shows error 404 page not found. This as heading and this as the main text. If I go to this inspect and network tab, and if I refresh this here, if we check for this page, it shows status is 404 because now this page does not exist. So this text, this is just for displaying a user friendly message so that I can see it, you can see it. Alright, now let's quickly see the first one, the redirects. So I'm going to comment this out and I'm going to do this. Pages with redirect with slash. So this is for home page. You can have any URL here. Now if we come here, let's open inspect, go to network, preserve log. Now if let's say I'm on counter page, and here I am saying after counter I'm doing this. So you see we have two requests. First one was for the URL which we typed, and for this it shows 302, that is redirect, and after that it redirect to home page, and on home page we can see this 200 which is this main content. So for this it is not showing 404. Okay, so the use case is up to you how you want to design it, what is your requirement, your need for this particular app. I am going to show you this one. So save it. Now this will work for all Blazor web app templates. As I mentioned earlier, Blazor web app without any interactivity, with all type of interactivity, interactive auto, interactive server, interactive WebAssembly, and both type of interactivity per page, per component basis or global basis. So for all Blazor web apps. But this thing is not going to work with standalone Blazor WebAssembly app, because this app, this is builder.build, this is HTTP request pipeline, this is a feature of ASP.NET Core apps. But for standalone Blazor WebAssembly apps, there is no HTTP request pipeline. It is not a direct part of ASP.NET Core. Okay, that's why in this program we just have WebAssembly host builder, builder.build and run. There is no HTTP request pipeline setup because that does not exist here. So this is a totally single page application, client side application. Okay, so there is no server. Now for this it is a bit different, and for this one we have app.razor where our router lives. So this is a router. In this router we have these two components, found and not found. So found is when we have any routable component page in our Blazor application, then it will go to this one, and if we have some incorrect invalid URL, it will directly come to this not found. So the default template gives us enough details about this, but if you want to customize this, you can. Now we can have a couple of different things here, but this not found will always be there. So first thing, let's do this. Let's go to the custom error component and let's copy this p tag. We will come here, we can comment this out, we can have this text. So in not found we can directly have any HTML, it will simply show that HTML to you. Let's select this standalone as a startup project and let's run it. We'll see if we write any incorrect URL which does not exist in our Blazor WebAssembly application, then it should show this p tag. Application is loading. This is our main UI, and I'll do this, and it is again loading, and we can see directly this. There is no HTML, no layout, nothing, direct this string, because that's what we have added in this not found. Okay, now what we can do, if we directly check this one, This page not found and layout view. This layout view is the key by which we can set the layout and then we can have our custom content. So I'm going to copy this p tag only inside this layout view and I'll comment this first one out. So the way it works inside this layout view, this is kind of a component, a Blazor component, temporary Blazor component we could say. So it will directly run it. We can move this to a separate component as well if we want to. Let's quickly try it out. Now it should show this error message inside that our layout only. So with that left and top section. So if I do this, I can see this left layout is here, this top bar with about is here, and then we can see this thing. All right. Or we can have the same thing what we are having in that custom error component. So we can simply copy that custom error page, copy it and paste this inside our standalone version. So in pages, this is actually not routable page. This will directly show it. So we can remove this page. We can have page title though, but in this case, we are directly going to have it as 404 because this is just for not found 404. So there's no point of having this condition. But if you are reusing this with some other case also, maybe for internal server errors using error boundary, then you might want to have all these things and you can provide the status code from the consumer. When I say from consumer, in this particular case, what you can do, let me copy this thing, paste it, comment it out, and inside this I'm going to remove this page title. I'm going to remove this p tag, and inside this layout view I can simply say that custom error page, and here we can define status code as 404 like this. Now it will be same. In Blazor, every page is also a component. So we can use those pages as components. Right now I'm using it as a component. If I'll do this, we are going to see this thing. You can see the page title is changed. We can see heading. We can see this message. Okay. So it is up to you how you design it. Let's go with this one. Save it. All right. So this is how we can have our custom message or our custom page or component implementation for page not found 404 errors. Let's have that heading as well. H1 inside this H1 error 404 page not found. All right. And if you want to see how to handle 500 errors, internal server errors, runtime errors, for that I already have a video on my channel. So if you go to my channel, go to videos tab, here I have this error, handle unexpected errors on Blazor UI, Blazor error boundary. So that we do using error boundary. So I'm going to drop link of this video in the description as well, so you can check it out from there as well. All right, so that's all for this video. Please like this video, share this video, subscribe my channel. I'll be back soon with some other cool video. Till then, bye bye, happy coding.